I'm here with Jon Kempin, now on loan with the San Diego Loyal, but with the Columbus Crew, my old stomping grounds. Kempin, you have been a professional goalkeeper now for 32 years, and you still only look like you're like 18, bro. What's the secret, man?
I don't know. It's felt like 32 years. It's only been 11 years. It's only been 11.
You've been a professional soccer player for a long, long time, and and you're just, how old are you now?
I'm 26.
Yes, that's insane. Yeah. So you've signed your first pro contract with the then Wizards 11 years ago.
Yeah.
You were, let me do the math there, 12. You were 12 years old.
Yep, pretty much.
That
seems like so long
ago. Right there,
dude.
That's Kentucky education. My math is spot on.
There you go. We kind of just followed each other around, you know. I followed you to Valley North. You followed me to the Sporting Kansas City. I followed you back to the Crew.
I think it's amazing, man. Like how many professional soccer players, let alone goalkeepers, like grew up in the same town, went to the same high school, won state championships for their high school, then played professionally in this, obviously you for a long time for the Wizards / Sporting. But then, I was in Columbus the whole time. And you actually trained with the Crew while you were in residency.
Yeah, that's right.
That was kind of cool. It's like, here's this Blue Valley North kid coming to train with the Crew in preseason while we were in Bradenton. And then, our paths have crossed so many freaking times. It's really cool, man. And it's cool to still watch you be doing it. Let's kind of just talk about your coming up in Kansas City, what that was like when you started playing the goalkeeper position, and then obviously signing a pro contract at age 12. Just start,
okay.
Start from when you were born. Go there.
Okay. Yeah, well, obviously growing up in Kansas City, I first started playing soccer for the KC Legends. I'm pretty sure they're still around, really got good with my feet, got good with the moves and drills and so forth. And I moved on to Blue Valley Stars, which is no longer a club anymore. They merged with
Sporting Blue Valley, yeah.
Yes, it's now Sporting Blue Valley. But I was actually on the B team, oddly enough, and we had a pretty good coach. We had a pretty good team.
Who was on the first team? Do you remember?
No, I don't.
Come on, dude. Do you remember?
I kind of remember. But we actually, funny story, we would actually beat them. But technically they were called the gold team or something like that, which is the A team. So, that was an interesting, fun time for me.
And who was your coach back then? Do you remember?
It was Mr. Dixon at the time. He doesn't coach anymore. But
what about
Tyler Dixon played for us, and he played for Blue Valley High, and was a good friend of mine growing up.
At that time, was Peter running the club at that time?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because I know was John Perry involved in that as well back in the day?
I don't remember if he was involved with Blue Valley or KCFC Alliance, because I then moved from Blue Valley Stars to KCFC Alliance.
Okay.
A very good team. They were always kind of state champions.
Yeah.
But funny story about that is I had broken my pinky playing baseball, and I had this cast on my arm, and it was tryout time, and I'm like, how am I gonna play goalkeeper with the cast on my hand? So I was I think I was 14 years old. I was crying, getting into the car, going to this soccer tryout because I had this cast on. Long story short, made the team, played there a couple of years and had some awesome friends, while doing it. But it's just a funny story to kind of tell everyone.
Did you do the ODP path or anything like that? Or what?
Yeah, did the ODP, state, regional, national team, ODP.
Very cool. Very cool. Where did you guys have your regional event for ODP?
Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think everybody knows Rockford, Illinois.
Oh, no. When I made the regional team for ODP, we spent our camp in Columbus, and we got to watch a Crew game, and it was so cool. And so that I had a lot of fond memories because I remember watching Brian McBride on the training pitch. We went to watch training, and then getting to play for the Crew. I always remember that was kind of cool as well.
That's awesome.
So growing up, back in your youth days, what was the goalkeeper training environment like for you?
Yeah, we typically did have a goalkeeper coach. It was like on Tuesday nights, our team maybe practiced Tuesdays, Thursdays, something like that. And on Tuesday nights, you had goalkeeper training with the whole club. So it was interesting because, you had 30 goalkeepers maybe, and you're kind of trying to figure out how to do drills. As a goalkeeper myself, or goalkeeper coach myself, and same with you, you could probably find that having a big group like that is sometimes difficult. But it was interesting because you were able to talk to a bunch of other goalkeepers, your age or close to your age around the city, and kind of get their perspective on things and go through different drills and situations with them. All the goalkeepers kind of in the city, knew each other, which was
sure. Cool. Yeah. So when did you kind of just specifically, you said you grew up in the legend system. Of course, they're known for touches on the ball, that kind of thing. Were you a goalkeeper then or strictly field player?
Yeah, I was a field player actually growing up. I only became a goalkeeper around 13, 14.
Gotcha.
I played a lot of other sports as well. And ended up, I guess long story short, I was playing, forward, and I didn't like to run. I was playing midfielder, and I was like, oh, man, that's even more running. And I was kind of tall, so they're like, okay, we'll put you at center back. And I was like, this is just way too much running still. So, through me and goalkeeper, I had two neighbors that played goalkeeper and kind of looked up to them. So I was like, well, I'll try goalkeeper, and it worked out for me.
I love it. I swear, man, like if you like had a lie detector test on probably 95% of goalkeepers, they'd be like, I got into it because it's just too much running. I love the sport, but man, it's just too much running. At the end of the day, it's like, we don't want to run. That's
exactly. And we're doing this, quarantine now, and I've got to do some sort of cardio, and I'm kind of stuck with running, which
oh man, yeah.
I'm ready to get back.
San Diego, dude. It's you step outside, go for a run. It's a little bit different,
That's true. That's true.
So
yeah, it's 70 here. I don't know what it is there, but
that's cool, man. So at what point in your youth soccer playing days did that light bulb switch on and you're like, okay, I'm kind of different at this, man. Like I'm a little bit special.
I'd probably say, that first year with Blue Valley Stars when we were kind of on the B team, it was interesting because even though it was the B team, I loved it because I was getting a ton of shots.
Yeah.
I was able to make a ton of saves. I was getting a ton of shots. We played indoor, we played futsal where you're getting a lot of action, and I really liked it, and I was making a bunch of saves. Yeah, you let some goals here and there, but
for sure.
I thought that was really a time where I was like, okay, I'm saving a lot more than I'm letting in. So, I think this is my spot.
Yeah, that's funny you said that. Like that was my entire youth playing days. It was like I always played for a team that was good but not great, and we'd lose games, but I would always have a chance to shine in those games.
Exactly.
I think I really enjoyed that aspect of it, just like you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think like goalkeepers growing up, maybe they allow 1 or 2 goals or something, or their team loses, 2-1, but they had 10 unbelievable saves.
Yeah.
But they're all bummed, that they lost, and you gave up 2 goals. Well, that's fine. That's going to happen sometimes. But you did have a really good game, and I think it's something that younger goalkeepers need to realize. Like, of course, we want to win every single game.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, how did you do? Did you grow? Did you improve? Did you learn from those goals you allowed? Because you also had a bunch of amazing saves.
How did that shape you as far as leadership? Or I don't want to say you get lulled into getting used to know what it's like to lose a game. So you just kind of, I don't want to say like it's ever easy to get used to it, but it's like, for me, it was like you kind of develop this mentality of, instead of getting angry, how can I just help more, right? And how can I be a better leader and more supportive of my team? Was that the same for you? Like, how did that mold your mentality?
Yeah, I just, for whatever reason, I had this kind of winning mindset, instilled in me. And growing up, I just always wanted to win. And, you get scored on and you lose, it's next one, it's next one. And it's just kind of focusing on, like, you have so many more games ahead of you. You have so many more practice ahead of you. Okay, you had one bad game, or you guys lost one game, or you had one bad practice and so forth, but there are so many more games ahead of you, and you just got to keep learning from it, moving forward. And, when I had signed pro, that's one of the big things that Peter kind of instilled in me and everybody within the Sporting Kansas City organization is winning. Winning's a habit, and you just got to kind of get back to that habit. And if you lose, next one.
Yeah. I think that's got to be the goalkeeper's mentality, man. Is next one, because if you're still kind of thinking about the last one, the next one's going to be real rough as well.
Exactly. And
so yeah,
Jimmy.
You go into your high school days, and you were talking to me. You won state championship for the best high school in town, Blue Valley North Mustangs. We all know that's the best high school in town. Your freshman year. What was that experience like? Did you even have any competition? Like, was there anybody that was, because high schools, there's maybe not the best. There's a few around here that have really good high school goalkeeping, but like, was there any competition, or was it like, I know I'm coming in, I'm going to be the man?
Yeah, there actually was. My neighbor that I was talking about, who was a goalkeeper that I kind of watched growing up, CJ Hines, he was the goalkeeper at the time, and he was a good goalkeeper. The team was very good. The team's always been, good, as you can kind of recall it. I just came in and obviously kind of had the pedigree of my youth soccer, and at the time I was on the youth national team as well. So it took me a little while to come in, and I got hazed and so forth, kind of like the majority of maybe freshmen or rookies, if you will. But we had a good year that year. We finished 15th in the nation, and like I said, we won state championship, and we went 5 postseason games without conceding a goal, which was pretty impressive for that team. And, it was a really, really fun time. It was probably one of my favorite parts of my kind of journey here was that freshman year of high school and winning that state championship with those guys.
Where was the state championship game?
It was Olathe Complex.
Yeah,
I don't know what they called it at the time.
Did you guys have a pretty packed house that day?
Yeah, it was packed. It was nice weather, which was we were fortunate with. But yeah, it was awesome.
Dude, I'll never forget that moment. It was like, for me, it was my senior year, but we played at the Blue Valley DAC. So we played against Aquinas, who had just moved up to 6A. And I'm telling you, it was like 6,000 people. People still talk about that game. It went to PKs. It was, it was a legit moment. It was awesome. Like, I'll never, out of all the things I've done in my career, that was one that stands out, like, towards the top. It was representing your school, which was awesome. Yeah, man. So talk about, what was it like to have to make the decision then? What was the residency decision like for you?
It was interesting because I heard a lot of different things about residency. You're kind of confounded to a little compound. You can't leave it really. And you're young. You're kind of just, this is my first time, I guess, living away from home and kind of living on my own. Tell
everyone where you were and what residency really means.
Yeah, so residency is the U17 national team. They all live together down in Bradenton, Florida, Sarasota area, like Tampa kind of. Yeah, on this compound. It's called IMG Academies. It's mainly for tennis. They've, since I was there, been known for now basketball, baseball, pretty much every sport. But we lived in these little dorm rooms. It was pretty much boarding school or college, if you will. And we trained in the mornings, to about noon or 1. And then we went to school in the afternoon called Bradenton Prep. And we did our schoolwork there. And then we came back and did homework, went to bed, and kind of did it all over again for the whole year. We were getting ready for the U17 World Cup. That's why we were there. And then, the goal is to kind of, all these guys live together and they work their way up, and they continue to work their way up in the national team ranks as the years go on. So it was a really cool experience in the sense of, it was my first time living away from home. I got to grow up on my own here. I lived with 30 different guys. They became my buddies, and I still keep touch with a lot of them today. So yeah, it was a really interesting experience, but the way that I tell people was, it was just kind of something I had to do. I obviously moved away from all my best childhood friends in high school, and I didn't get to play. We just won this state championship, and I really wanted to play my sophomore year of high school, but it's just something that I really had to do. And without me going there, I don't know if I would have grown as much as a soccer player and been kind of playing professional today.
Yeah, it's a really, I remember hearing about it. I didn't know much about it when I was coming up, or if really, it was as big a deal or whatever. But then you start to hear more and more. It's a really cool deal. I was laughing at the beginning because when you said Bradenton, that's where a lot of teams spent their preseasons for MLS. Yeah. And so I spent probably my first 6 years of the league at Bradenton every year. And it's basically a retirement community. It's like you learn to play shuffleboard. There's
pretty much
old people, man.
I think I tell everybody the best part of our week was we got to go to Walmart on Sundays because they had a McDonald's, and that was the best part of the week.
Yeah, but IMG is it's insane, man. It really is a cool deal. So outside of that, though, it's just retirement. But so then you were there for a year, and then you came back to Blue Valley North, right? Yeah,
so I was there for a year. I came back for my junior year, played my junior year there. And then, right before my senior year, about July-ish, I got a chance to train with the Kansas City Wizards at the time. And then, ultimately signed there. We had our first high school game, and it wasn't kind of announced yet. And I actually, funny enough, very first training with Kansas City Wizards, I broke my finger.
Oh my God.
And like the very next day, Graham Zusi shoots it, hits the post. I'm not looking, and it hits me in the head. And I'm like, well, my first two days as a professional were awesome.
Maybe this isn't for me after all.
Yeah. So I had this broken finger, and we had our debut first high school game. I was a senior. I would have been a captain, and I couldn't play. And everyone's like, well, why can't Jon play? Well, I had signed professionally, but we hadn't announced it yet, and I couldn't tell anyone. So I was like, oh, I have this broken finger.
Yeah, broken finger.
I remember Paul Rideout, Jordan Rideout's father, and he was like, Jon's played with a broken finger before. Like, what's actually going on, A couple of days later, it was announced.
All right, but, I think, like, the more interesting thing is your mentality, your conversations with Peter at, like, before this pro contract was signed. What was the build-up? Like, tell me about the training sessions. How nervous were you, all that stuff? And don't lie, man. I know you were nervous.
I was pretty nervous. Obviously, it was, scorching hot. I'd never trained with guys at that caliber. And as I mentioned, I broke my finger right away. They had those Javelani balls. Were those things? You remember those? Those things were.
I remember that. That's why my finger is like bent in.
Exactly. They're kind of moving all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I was definitely very nervous, but I knew it was a good opportunity, and I really wasn't looking at it as a tryout. They didn't even mention it to me that it was kind of a tryout. We ended up playing small-sided games and doing a PK shootout, and I think I, did well in that and maybe won and so forth. And I just remember, I think it was Jimmy Nielsen who said, Peter, we got to sign this kid or whatever, and a couple of days later, they, I guess, presented to my parents. My parents didn't even tell me I'm still training with the team. So it wasn't even a tryout. It just happened, I had the mindset of it's just a training for me.
So basically what you're telling me is you consider Jimmy Nielsen to be your real father and not me. Dude,
he was my roommate for a while.
All this time I was like, I basically, he's followed me everywhere. He hasn't learned anything from me, which is good. It's good that you learned from Jimmy, but what was that like? Because obviously Jimmy's following here is massive. I had the opportunity to play against Jimmy, for a couple of years as well, which was always cool because they, that team was sporting with the rebrand was just, they were dominating teams. It was really fun to be a part of seeing that, but also like competing against it.
Yeah, that team you're talking about was an unbelievable team, but I did really enjoy playing with you, but I played with Jimmy for so long, right? And he kind of took me under his wing. And he kind of took me under his wing, when I signed. I'm a 17-year-old kid. He's my roommate everywhere we go, on the road and so forth. He's my roommate in preseason. And so it was just really good to kind of learn from him on and off the field, and kind of grow with him, grow our relationship, and our friendship. And we still talk to this day. I just talked to him the other day. He's back in Kansas City. So, we created a pretty good friendship.
Can you give us some inside info on Jimmy's off the field habits? Is he a prankster, man? Did he ever get you with anything or what?
Yeah, he's definitely a jokester. I've got a funny story. It wasn't a prank or anything, but we were in preseason. I want to say 2013. And, we went to Qdoba for lunch, and we went to Moe's Southwest Grill for dinner. So kind of two Mexican restaurants. And we come back and we're watching, I think it was like March Madness or something. It was during preseason, and we're watching some basketball, and we both start to get sick.
No.
So he gets – so we get food poisoning. So like he got food poisoning, I got food poisoning, and we were, out for 3 days. We missed, a couple of days of preseason. And to this day, I still haven't gone to Moe's or Cordova. I doubt he has as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. I always wonder, like, goalkeepers that room together, especially during the season, it can be dangerous if somebody comes up with something, the other one could easily too. And it's like, but yeah, at the same time, it is cool to room with somebody, especially being at your age. Like that circumstance would be really good to learn from as well. So,
yeah, I've had coaches who room the goalkeepers together for obviously reasons. I've also had coaches who don't for that exact reason. If one gets sick, the other gets sick, and now we don't have a goalkeeper to play anymore. Exactly.
I remember, obviously, being from Kansas City, there's always been this like heavy jealousy. I'm not gonna lie, man. I wanted to come back. Like I loved Columbus. Columbus is my wife and I still talk about how much we love Columbus, but there's that part of you that wants to play for your hometown team so bad. And I wanted to dislike Jimmy so much. I really did. And when the first time I ever played against him, he came up to me and like kind of gave me the goalkeeper union hug, and I was like, damn it, like he's a nice guy. Like I can't. All right, fine. Like he's just a nice guy, dude. But anyway, yeah, that's really cool. So talk about, your experience being groomed, playing reserve games, going on loan. What's it like to kind of develop in that environment for you?
Yeah, I went on loan to Orlando City, and that was one of my favorite years of professional. We won a USL championship. It was kind of my first chance away from home since residency, to live on my own, to kind of be away from my entire family. And I grew a lot there as a player. We had a great year. And Dom Dwyer was down there on loan.
Yeah, I was going to say, was that the year, Dom Dwyer made his mark as well there?
Pretty much. Yeah. Christian Duke as well. So it was a good year for me. And all these years that I've been on loan, have been good for me to get games as a younger goalkeeper. It's tough to get games, right? So it's good to go on loan and to be able to play games and to kind of grow in a different environment. I lived in a lot of different places, and I think that's been one of my favorite parts about playing pro soccer is traveling all around the world and living in different places and getting to experience things that I probably wouldn't experience otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. We talked a little bit off camera, but just tell people, like, because you said you've been asked this a bunch, but the decision to not go to college, because you had, I'm sure, offers from, you could have gone anywhere to play at the highest level. I actually, do you regret that decision? Just kind of inform everyone. That's something, that was probably a big decision for you.
Yeah, it definitely was. I get asked that question a lot because I think a lot of people, one of their favorite memories is going to college, right, and playing for a college soccer program. And I'm sure that would have been awesome if I did do that. I don't know if I would be where I am if I did go and play there, but I don't regret it at all, and I never have. Being able to kind of build the friendships that I have that we've talked about and with some other guys throughout the league, that has been a great experience for me. And I also got education money, and so I finished my undergrad, and now I'm taking my master's online. So
I was just gonna say, congrats for doing your undergrad, and you're crazy, but good for you. Good for you for wanting to do more school.
I know. I might as well just keep it going. But
I love it.
So I was able to kind of have the best of both worlds, if you will, by playing professional soccer, but also getting my degree. So. I don't regret it at all. It's been a great experience for me.
That's awesome. And then obviously our paths crossed eventually. When I was traded to Sporting, I had the opportunity to actually play side by side with you. And then, you're welcome for getting hurt and getting you some game action where, you had a chance to step in Vancouver, make a great penalty stop and get a string of games. I feel like at that time I was like, I'm winding down. I got to get Kempin I got to get him some action. I'm going to throw my shoulder into Vancouver's turf. And I did.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was going to actually mention that. Thanks for giving me my debut, in a situation where we were already losing, so it didn't really matter.
There's a picture. I think it was Hurtado of Vancouver at the time going into. It was the actual play where my shoulder we went in for a 50-50 ball. In the picture, there's a picture that captures it perfectly. But that game was a disaster from start to finish, and I'd rather not remember it at all. But so then, you spent so many years with, the hometown club. Talk about that experience of what it was like when it was finally time to say goodbye and move on. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that's actually not a question I've been asked. That was a very difficult kind of decision in time because I had played there for 7 years. That's a long part of my career. And, all my friends and family were there and so forth. So it was kind of a really weird decision, I guess, to leave and to find another club because I didn't know any better, right? I had never played for another team. I didn't want to play for another team. This was my hometown. This is the only team that I supported. So it was definitely a very kind of hard, I guess, time for me.
There had to have been a part of you, because I'm thinking in your shoes, there had to have been a part of you that had dreamt up the scenario where eventually you just become, the out and out guy in Kansas City for the rest of your career and finish off like a guy like Jimmy. And dude, you're a great goalkeeper. For that not to happen, what was that? I mean, mentally, was that a big hit?
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these other teams in the past, maybe Manchester United, and my goal and my dream would have been, maybe to say be the captain, one of the goalkeeper, the starting goalkeeper, and having kind of Kansas City or homegrown players as the entire starting 11. I mean, that would have been unbelievable, right? To have an entire kind of Kansas City-based starting 11. And, you can see now we have a ton of great youth soccer players, coming up, and that might still happen one day. And maybe I'll be the goalkeeper, maybe I won't, maybe it'll be somebody else. But that definitely is or was a dream of mine to kind of have a whole Kansas City-based, sporting Kansas City team, which would have been awesome,
I to that point, when I played in Kansas City, it was myself in goal for one of the games, Seth Sinovic, Beasler, Kevin Ellis, and then obviously Juliao or whatever at right back, who we all know is from Kansas. Igor Julian. No, it was almost a clean sweep, or maybe there was a right back or maybe it was EPB that played.
Probably was in there.
And Ellis was out
right. I think it was something like that.
Yeah, so it was the whole 5 of us were homegrown. It was one of the coolest moments that I remember. So I know exactly what you're talking about. The reason I bring it up, especially as we talk to youth goalkeepers, is, dude, I mean, it hurt a lot for me to be, let go from sporting as well after that last injury. And I felt apart from the injuries, I was playing pretty well. But when that happened, there is a mental, this is my hometown team. I only had 1 year here. That crushed me, right? And so at the same token, for a guy like you, I knew I was on my last leg anyway. But for a guy like you, tell everyone what it takes mentally. How long did you let that sink in versus okay, now I've got to flip the script and I've got to prepare myself mentally and get after it?
Yeah, it's kind of, when one door shuts, another one opens, right? So looking back on it now, it's still, I still wish I was probably playing in Kansas City, my hometown, right? I mean, that would have been, still really cool. But best thing that could have ever happened to me was to leave and to go grow somewhere else, and what's been great about my career is I've played under a ton of different coaches. So I've seen a ton of different tactics, I've learned a ton of different things. And, you kind of create your own style of play based on taking bits and pieces from other teams and other coaches, And so the best thing that could have happened to me was leaving, and going and playing elsewhere and kind of growing more as a person that way as well.
I think so too, man. I think you've really come on, I mean this too, just watching you getting games here and there you went to LA next, right? Was that your next step?
Yeah.
So you went to LA, had some games, then ended up in Columbus after that?
Yeah, so I went to LA, got a decent amount of games there. Really, really enjoyed my year there, and then got traded to Columbus to kind of be, Zach Steffen's backup and play games while he went with the national team.
Yeah, what a stud, man. I mean, Zach Steffen's next level. What was it like to train next to a guy like that? he's there on a leash short term where he's going to be just like going somewhere big time.
Yeah, I mean, he ended up kind of becoming my best friend, similar to my relationship with like Jimmy Nielsen.
Yeah.
It was just great to kind of learn from him, you know, and see what he did. You can just watch players and just learn and see what they do, and you can go and kind of emulate those style of play. So he really helped with my feet, my build up, my playing out of the back. And we had Greg Berhalter as a coach, which was, you know, an unbelievable coach, obviously, you know, coaching the national team now. So being able to kind of get better playing out, as you can see, the game is evolving. Goalkeepers are playing a lot more with their feet. So my big takeaway from playing with him was definitely becoming a better, you know, player with my feet.
You know, that's funny though, because like I consider you to be pretty good with your feet, right? And it just goes to show you, like for the youth goalkeepers, even the ones that are good, you can always get better, right? There's someone out there that does it better than you that you can learn from, that you always have to keep grinding. So I think that's really funny you said that, because I've never thought of you as being, oh man, Kempin not good with his feet. No, I've always thought the opposite.
Well, I appreciate that, but you can always get better, you know. And we joked around, you know, Zach was a cheat code for us because he was just so unbelievable with his feet. He saw stuff that, you know, none of us saw. So to kind of be able to, like I said, learn from him that way and grow, you know, you can always get better at everything you do, you know.
Yeah, man. I think that's really important for everyone to know. Is just like, no matter what, if you're ever content, that's when bad things happen. That's when bad things happen. So then, obviously, with Columbus, now you're on loan with San Diego, and you get out here, or you get out there to San Diego. It's like there's a certain hype. Landon Donovan's the coach. You're playing, unfortunately, with Sal Zizzo as your center back somehow.
What a guy!
And then everything's put on halt, man. So what's going on out there? What's it like to be playing for a brand new club and Landon and everything?
Yeah, you know, it's obviously been a really weird time for everybody. But I was super stoked, you know, when I heard that I had this opportunity to come out to San Diego and play in the inaugural season for San Diego Loyal, you know, and having Landon Donovan as your coach. I mean, that's like best case scenario, right? You're going to get games, you're going to play in San Diego, and you got, you know, the best soccer player ever to play for the U.S. as your coach. So it was awesome. You know, I came in, we were doing well. We're actually top of the table, I think, because we played an extra game, you know, than everybody else. So,
nice.
You know, and then this is put on hold, and it's been a really weird situation because I packed up. You know, I moved from Columbus, just got out here. You know, brought my girlfriend, my dog, and you know, then boom, all of a sudden we're not playing anymore, and we're just kind of stuck out here until you know, things change here. So it's been really weird, but I'm excited to kind of see what happens with the rest of the season once this all blows over.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. We were joking off camera. Your artwork on the wall back there is beautiful. It's just, you've got so much going on in that apartment of yours, dude.
It's still coming. You know, if I go outside, I can show you the beach, but you know,
I told you, I begged you not to. I begged you not to. Dude, that's awesome. Kind of the last little bit here, and I really appreciate you jumping on and everything, especially because you're in quarantine, you know. So I know how much time you have to do other things. So
yeah, I know.
What is your go on?
I was just gonna say, you know, you probably got a lot of time now too, coaching our entire Kansas City, you know, goalkeeper group. There isn't a single goalkeeper that I haven't talked to who said they don't get coached by you. So,
dude, there's some out there. I'm coming for you though. And I appreciate, there's been some that have come on board because of you, so I appreciate that. But what is your quarantine routine look like? How are you staying fit? And kind of are you getting touches on the ball? What's going on there?
Yeah, I think that you know, we're creatures of habit, right? So I'm just trying to stick to a routine as much as possible. You know, it's obviously difficult, you know, trying to follow the rules and stay quarantined and so forth. But I definitely do wake up every morning, you know, typically go for a run with my dog. Then I come back and we do it's called Studio Torch. You might remember from Columbus. We do like a kind of online video workout through the TV typically. And then, you know, we try and get a bike ride in. So you have all this free time now, and I'm still doing classes in real estate and stuff like that. But I try and be active, you know, pretty much the entire day, which is, you know, I would otherwise not have this much free time to kind of go out and ride my bike and so forth.
Yeah, a chance to kind of reset and do some things that you might not normally do.
Exactly.
Are you getting any goalkeeper specific training there, or is it just kind of I'm going to reset my body kind of thing?
Like now that we're in quarantine.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I saw a buddy of mine just walking out the other day, and he lives down where I live. So he's a goalkeeper coach, and he's like, I'm not coaching anybody right now. Do you want to do some training? So we haven't started that yet, but we might. I have done, just some kicking in the park with my girlfriend, and she's been the goalkeeper coach, if you will. Just basically all she does is kick the ball, and I have to run after it and get it.
You're like a dog, dude.
Yeah, exactly. But it's tough to kind of do trainings, on your own and so forth. So if you have a tennis ball, or I've got a lacrosse ball that I'll just maybe throw against the wall and catch with one hand and catch with the other hand and so forth. But it's mainly giving my body a rest, staying physically fit, like I said, with these things and this cardio type work. Definitely a frustrating time to not get out there with your friends, and play for sure.
Yeah, man. So last question, man. 10 years from now, Kempin, do you feel like you will look the exact same?
I don't know.
Will you have any wrinkles? Will you have any wrinkles?
This is my quarantine beard, it's coming in nice. I don't know. Maybe. I'm spending a lot of time in the sun, so that might catch up to me here.
There you go. Dude, I really appreciate the time, man. I look forward to watch. Hopefully this ends quick and we can watch you guys play, because I think it's exciting to be a part of a brand new team. I know the city, just talking to Sal a little bit, the city's like ready to go. There's a lot of support behind that club, and to be the goalkeeper there, that's kind of spearheading that is a really cool opportunity. Another chance to get games, and then you never know. Like, I just keep waiting for you to pop and get these string games at the top level, which I know is coming. So, yeah, man, I appreciate it, and I really think everyone should tune into these San Diego Loyal games. Where can we find those games, just out of curiosity?
Yeah, they're on ESPN Plus. So if you have an ESPN account, you can watch them all there. And they're also on demand if you end up missing it and for whatever reason want to catch a game. So, yeah.
All right, buddy. Hey, good talking to you. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, my man. Appreciate it. Stay healthy.
All right. Yeah, you too. Later.